My boyfriend said, "So, what do you want to do? Break up with me?" after I caught him texting his ex. I smiled. "You're right," then started packing and walked away. Hours later, he couldn't laugh when he saw what I was putting in. I still remember that night like it's frozen in time. Every sound, every breath, every flicker of light in our apartment. It was late, the kind of quiet evening where the world feels half asleep and you can finally think. I had just finished folding laundry when his phone buzzed on the bed. It wasn't curiosity that made me glance, it was instinct. That gut feeling that something wasn't right. And there it was. Her name. Sophia. His ex. The one he had sworn was history. The one he said he never even thought about anymore. I told myself not to look, that I trusted him. But my thumb hesitated, and the screen lit up again with another message. "I miss how easy it was with you." Easy. That word cut deeper than any insult ever could. Because it wasn't just a word. It was a memory, a confession, a reminder that someone else still lingered where I thought I had found safety. Hey, before I go deeper into this story, from where are you watching right now? I actually read every single comment, so tell me your city or country below. And if you've ever felt that kind of betrayal, that quiet heartbreak that no one sees, please take a moment to like this video. It really helps more than you know. Anyway, I stood there for a moment, just staring at the messages. My hands went cold, my throat tight. I scrolled up, line after line, flirty emojis, late-night check-ins, and words that sounded way too familiar. He was telling her things he used to tell me. "You still make me laugh. I miss your energy. Don't tell anyone I texted you." I didn't even realize I was trembling until my reflection in the mirror caught it. I wasn't crying yet. I was too numb for tears. A few minutes later, I heard him in the kitchen, humming, carefree, opening a bag of chips. The man who just wrote "I miss you" to another woman was now whistling our song like nothing happened. "Hey," I said quietly when he walked into the room. He looked up, still chewing, still unaware. "Who's Sophia?" He blinked, pretending not to understand. "What do you mean, who's Sophia?" "My ex, you know that?" "Yeah," I said, voice steady but sharp. "So why are you texting her that you miss how easy things were with her? Why are you calling her baby?" He froze for a split second, then smirked. That same careless smirk that used to be charming but now just looked cruel. "Oh, come on," he said, rolling his eyes. "You're really going through my phone now?" "That's not cool, babe." "I wasn't going through your phone," I said, holding his gaze. "It lit up right in front of me. I didn't go looking for proof, it found me." He shrugged, grabbed his drink, and leaned against the counter. "You're overreacting. It was just a stupid chat. She texted first. I was just being polite." Polite. Polite. My heart sank. "You don't tell your ex you miss her out of politeness," I whispered. He sighed dramatically like I was exhausting him. "So what do you want to do? Break up with me?" There it was. The line that flipped a switch inside me. He said it like it was nothing. Like I wouldn't dare. Like the threat of losing me didn't matter. And I realized it really didn't. At least not to him. I smiled. Calm, composed, almost peaceful. "You're right," I said. "I do." He blinked. "Wait, what?" But I didn't answer. I just turned around, opened the closet, and started pulling clothes off hangers. Slowly, deliberately. The sound of hangers scraping the rod filled the silence between us. He laughed, but it sounded nervous. "You're being ridiculous. Seriously, you're gonna throw everything away over a couple texts?" I folded my jeans, placed them in the suitcase, and zipped it halfway. "No," I said quietly. "I'm throwing everything away because you already did." His face shifted. Confusion first, then disbelief. He set his drink down, his voice rising a little. "You're not serious." I didn't reply. I didn't need to. My silence said everything. He tried again, this time with that manipulative tone, half pleading, half condescending. "Look, I messed up, okay?" It didn't mean anything. She just reached out and I I don't know. I got nostalgic. You know how that goes? I turned, looked straight at him and said, "No, I don't know." Because when I love someone, I don't go looking for nostalgia in other people. That shut him up. For the first time in a long time, I felt strong. I wasn't yelling. I wasn't begging. I was done. I grabbed my charger, makeup bag, laptop, every small piece of my life, and packed them with the same care I once gave to him. He stood there, watching, probably waiting for the moment I'd stop, cry, and forgive him again. That moment never came. When I finally zipped the suitcase, I turned toward him one last time. "I hope she texts back," I said softly, "because you're going to need someone to talk to when you realize what you just lost." I walked to the door. He followed. "You'll be back," he said. I didn't even answer. The click of the door shutting behind me was louder than any argument could have been. The night air hit my face, cool and sharp, and for the first time in months I could actually breathe. I drove with no destination, just streetlights flickering on my windshield and tears I didn't bother to wipe away. The radio was playing some slow song about heartbreak, and I turned it off halfway through. I didn't need music to tell me what pain felt like. I was living it. I ended up at Maya's place. My best friend since high school, the kind of person who doesn't need explanations to know something's wrong. She opened the door, took one look at my face, and said, "What did he do?" I broke. Completely. We sat on her couch for hours. I told her everything. The texts, the smirk, the way he acted like I was the problem. I cried until my throat hurt, until there was nothing left. Maya just listened. She didn't say, "I told you so." She didn't judge. She just held space for me, something he never did. At one point, she handed me a blanket and said quietly, "You deserve someone who doesn't make you question your worth every other week." That sentence hit harder than any heartbreak ever could. Because deep down, I already knew it. I had just been too scared to act on it. When the tears finally stopped, I opened my phone, went to the Notes app and wrote a list. Change locks, cancel his Netflix profile, remove his fingerprint from my phone, find my own place, heal. Heal. It wasn't a breakup list. It was a rebirth plan. That night, I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw his face when I said, "You're right." I could tell he didn't believe I'd actually go through with it. Maybe he thought I was bluffing. Maybe he thought I was weak. The next morning, I drove back to the apartment to pack the rest of my things. He wasn't there. Maybe at work. Maybe avoiding me. The sunlight poured through the windows and everything looked different. Lighter. Like the space itself had exhaled. I started gathering what was mine. Clothes, books, small decorations I bought but he never liked. As I worked, I found things that made me smile and ache at the same time. The mug he chipped but I still used. The hoodie that smelled like his cologne. The photo from our first trip together. Each item told a story, but not the one I wanted to keep living. So I made another box. Not for memories, for closure. Every picture, every note, every souvenir went inside it, carefully. Not out of anger, but acceptance. When I was done, I took a deep breath and looked around the empty apartment. It no longer felt like home. It felt like a chapter I had finally finished. And when he came back later that day, when he saw what I had put in that box, the look on his face said it all. His laughter was gone. When I came back later that evening, it wasn't to fight or to explain. I had one final thing left to do, and I wanted to leave knowing I'd closed every door with grace. When I came back later that evening, it wasn't to fight or to explain. I had one final thing left to do, and I wanted to leave knowing I'd closed every door with grace. I remember unlocking the door, walking in quietly. The apartment was dim, just a few lights on. He was sitting on the couch, staring at the TV, but the screen was black. He wasn't watching anything. He turned when he heard me. His face was a mix of surprise and something else. Guilt, maybe, or confusion. "You're back," he said, standing up. "I knew you would be." I let out a small, tired laugh. "Not for the reason you think." He frowned. "You forgot something?" "Yeah," I said softly, walking past him toward the living room table. Just one last thing. The box I had packed earlier sat neatly on the coffee table, sealed, labeled, and waiting. He noticed it right away. "What's that?" "Everything that used to matter," I said simply. He gave a short, awkward chuckle. "You're so dramatic." I ignored him, walked over to the window and looked outside. The city lights shimmered below, and for a second I remembered how we used to stand there together, talking about our future. Except now the view felt different, freer. He started talking again, his voice rising with every sentence. "You really think you're better off without me? After everything I've done for you? After all the things we've been through?" I turned around slowly. "You mean the lies, the gaslighting, the nights I cried while you pretended not to hear? Yeah, after all that, I think I'll be just fine." He didn't know what to say to that. I could see him searching for a way to twist it back on me, the way he always did. But this time, I wasn't playing his game. He pointed at the box. "So what's in there? Your goodbye gift or something?" I smiled faintly. "You could say that." He walked over, tore the tape open, and started pulling things out, one by one. The photo of us from our first vacation. The movie stubs from our first date. The watch I bought him on his birthday. The small notes I used to leave in his lunch bag. The ones that said, "Have a great day. Love you." He set them all on the table, his expression hard to read. "What is this supposed to be? Some kind of message?" "Yes," I said quietly. "It's everything I gave you. Love, time, care. And now I'm taking all of it back." He looked at me, finally realizing this wasn't a performance. This was goodbye. "You're really leaving," he said, voice lower now. "I already left," I replied. "You just didn't notice." For a moment, we both stood there in silence. Two people surrounded by the ghosts of what they used to be. He stepped closer, trying one last time. "Look, I made a mistake, okay?" "I was stupid. It didn't mean anything. I love you." I took a deep breath, searching his eyes for the truth, but all I saw was panic. Not love, just fear of being alone. "You love the idea of me," I said softly. "But if you really loved me, you wouldn't have made me feel like I was never enough." He ran a hand through his hair, frustrated. "Why can't you just let it go?" "Everyone messes up. We can fix this." "Because I'm done fixing what you keep breaking." My voice didn't shake. My heart did, but I didn't let him see that. I walked past him, picked up my suitcase, and looked back one last time. "Goodbye, Daniel." He didn't follow. He just stood there, staring at the box full of memories, the box he used to be proud of. As I closed the door behind me, I felt the weight lift, like I was finally free of everything that kept me small. That night, I checked into a small Airbnb across town. It wasn't fancy, but it was peaceful. White curtains, soft lighting, and the sound of the city humming quietly outside. I sat on the bed with my phone in my hand. Messages from friends, missed calls from him. One voicemail. "Please, call me back. We need to talk." I deleted it without listening to the rest. Instead, I opened my notes again, the list I made that night at Maya's. I added one more line at the bottom. "Forgive yourself." That one was harder than I expected, because when someone betrays you, you start to question yourself, your worth, your instincts, your kindness. But I wasn't the one who broke anything. I was just the one brave enough to walk away. Days passed, then weeks. I got my own place, small but bright, filled with plants and sunlight. Maya helped me decorate it. I bought a new mug, a new blanket, a new everything. It felt good, building something that was entirely mine. I started painting again, something I hadn't done in years. Each brushstroke felt like a release. I didn't paint to forget him. I painted to remember me. One afternoon as I was working, my phone buzzed. It was him again. A text. "I saw your post. You look happy. Guess I was the problem after all." I didn't reply, because I realized closure isn't something they give you. It's something you create when you stop needing their explanation. A few days later, Maya came over with coffee. "You seem different," she said, smiling. "I feel different," I replied. "It's weird. I thought I'd be broken after this. But I'm not. I'm lighter." She raised an eyebrow. "So what did you end up putting in that box?" I smiled, remembering his face when he saw it. "The truth," I said. She laughed softly. "Good for you." But what I didn't tell her was that at the very bottom of that box, under all the photos and letters, I left one last thing. A note. It said, "When you learn to treat someone right, I hope you remember the girl who finally stopped waiting for you to change." He texted me about that note weeks later. Just one message. "That was cold." I smiled at my screen and whispered, "No, that was honest." And that's when I knew I'd healed, because I didn't hate him anymore. I just didn't care. Months passed. Seasons changed. The pain that once felt unbearable turned into something else. Strength. One evening I went to a cafe I used to love. I sat by the window with my sketchbook, drawing people as they walked by. That's when I saw him. Across the street, alone. He looked older, heavier, not in body but in spirit. He didn't see me. Or maybe he did and chose not to. Either way, I felt nothing. I smiled, not out of bitterness, but peace. Because the truth is, healing isn't loud. It's quiet. It's the morning you wake up and don't check your phone for their name. It's the night you realize you haven't cried in weeks. It's the moment you walk past the place you once avoided, and you're okay. I paid for my coffee, left a small tip, and walked out into the golden sunset. The city was alive. People laughing, cars honking, life moving forward. Just like me. As I walked, I whispered softly to myself, "You did it." Not because I left him, but because I found myself again. Later that night, I went home, sat by my window, and opened my journal. I started writing, not about him, but about the lessons I learned. Sometimes love isn't enough if respect isn't there. Silence can be louder than words. Walking away doesn't make you weak. It makes you wise. And the best revenge is peace. When I finished, I smiled and closed the journal. The past was behind me. The future, mine to design. And as for him, well, last I heard he was still trying to fill the silence I left behind. But me? I was too busy building a life so beautiful it made the pain worth it. And that's the thing about walking away. You don't always leave to hurt someone else. Sometimes, you leave to finally love yourself right. Across the street, alone. He looked older, heavier, not in body but in spirit. He didn't see me. Or maybe he did and chose not to. Either way, I felt nothing. I smiled, not out of bitterness, but peace. Because the truth is, healing isn't loud. It's quiet. It's the morning you wake up and don't check your phone for their name. It's the night you realize you haven't cried in weeks. It's the moment you walk past the place you once avoided, and you're okay. I paid for my coffee, left a small tip, and walked out into the golden sunset. The city was alive, people laughing, cars honking, life moving forward. Just like me. As I walked, I whispered softly to myself, "You did it." Not because I left him, but because I found myself again. Later that night, I went home, sat by my window, and opened my journal. I started writing, not about him, but about the lessons I learned. Sometimes love isn't enough if respect isn't there. Silence can be louder than words. Walking away doesn't make you weak. It makes you wise. And the best revenge is peace. When I finished, I smiled and closed the journal. The past was behind me. The future, mine to design. And as for him, well, last I heard he was still trying to fill the silence I left behind. But me? I was too busy building a life so beautiful it made the pain worth it. And that's the thing about walking away. You don't always leave to hurt someone else. Sometimes, you leave to finally love yourself right.